Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking Reds, and in this episode we are going to be looking at the fixtures, the Premier League fixtures of the top three. Ourselves, Liverpool, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest, who have sort of played themselves into a title race here. They might not be title contenders, might have dropped off, but we're going to respect them here. We're going to respect them. They are in a title race right now in terms, not officially, but unofficially. So we're going to respect them here, and we're going to talk about them in terms of their fixtures as well, because they deserve as much respect as Arsenal do. If we're talking about title rivals right now, Nottingham Forest deserve as much respect as Arsenal do. So we're going to be looking at all fixtures, the next 7 fixtures of each Premier League team in the Premier League between those three. So Liverpool, Forest, and Arsenal. And we're going to not maybe to predict, but we're going to talk about them. Who's got the hardest fixtures? Who's got the easiest fixtures? And what that would leave then for Premier League table. So the Premier League table is as it stands. Liverpool are on, one second, I'll get it back up there, I had it a minute ago. Liverpool are on 50 points, 6 points clear of Arsenal and Nottingham Forest, who are on level points on 44, but Arsenal have a better goal difference, 11 goals difference between them and Forest, and we have an 8 goals difference on Arsenal. But if we were to lose 2 games and Arsenal were to win 2 games, that goal difference will change. It'll swing over. Because if we lose 2-0 and they win 2-0, that's a 4-goal swing. It can change just like that. And Liverpool do have a game in hand, obviously, against Everton in Feb. So they will be also in those next 7 fixtures. But a game in hand doesn't mean 3 points, especially where it's Everton, David Moyes Everton now. It's going to be a tricky game. It was just beating Tottenham today as we are recording this. So we're going to look at the next 7 fixtures between the both teams. So next up for Arsenal is away to Wolves next week, which is I won't say a tricky game as such, but it can be a tricky game. Any game in the Premier League is a tricky one, especially away. Nottingham Forest away to Bournemouth. Bournemouth has just battered Newcastle, which is certainly a hard game for them to go play. And Liverpool home to Ipswich Town. Advantage Liverpool next week, Rhys, with those fixtures?
It should be with Liverpool. Obviously, Ipswich, I expect us to win. I know our fixtures after Ipswich will be tricky. I think we got Bournemouth away from home. I'm not looking forward to, because I watched them against Newcastle the other day. I already knew they're a good team anyway. The manager's a top manager, Areola, I think his name is, and then they got a really good team as well. I watched how they played, how they press, how they kind of matched Newcastle physically, and then how quick they were in the transition on counter-attacks. But Ipswich, we should... Is that away or is that at home?
Anfield.
Okay, no, we should win. I just want to... I don't want a frustrating game where it's almost going in, or goalies having a great performance, or defenders having a game of his life kind of thing. So I just want it to be kind of wrapped up early. But who's Arsenal? What?
Arsenal have got Wolves away. I think they get the job done there.
They should do, but like I said, there just seems panic station. So as long as Wolves can win the game, if it's 100% Arsenal, then I say it's pretty routine. I still think they should win, but all about depending how they manage that game. And then Forest, who they got Bournemouth, you said
away to Bournemouth. If they get a result, if they get a win there, they're serious.
I think that's going to be a good game though, regardless. There's 2 teams, 2 good managers come up against each other. So,
if they get a win there, I think they're serious in this title race. Honestly, beating Bournemouth for you. That's especially after just beating Newcastle. They can't they couldn't get more confident up for that game. So I'm going to go then. I'm going to go to the next 6 fixtures there for the next of them. So that's next week. Nottingham Forest away to Bournemouth, Arsenal away to Wolves, and Liverpool on to Ipswich. Obviously, Liverpool's got clearly the easiest game there. No offense to Ipswich, but you shit. This didn't come back to bite me in the ass because clip it up, but they just got battered by City today. So the next fix after Bournemouth for Nottingham Forest. So they've got Bournemouth away, obviously, Brighton at home. Then they go to Fulham, go to Newcastle. Then they're home to Arsenal and home to Man City. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then after Man City, they travel to Ipswich, which ends March, and then They don't play until April. So up until March, that's a tricky run that for Forest, and that's where they may no longer be title contenders if they see themselves as that. Obviously, away to Bournemouth, home to Brighton, away to Fulham, away to Newcastle, home to Arsenal, home to City, away to Ipswich. That's a mad run.
In hindsight, it is, but the way they're playing, I think they'll be confident going into most of these games, especially when they play Arsenal and City. Is that both home games or away?
Both home games, yeah, to Arsenal and City.
I think when they're at home, they're definitely going to fancy their chances, I think, at home. And when that crowd gets behind them as well, they're quite solid. They don't concede too many goals. Good in the transition as well, quite physical. Should be interesting. They may drop some points as well here and there, but I still expect them to pick up a decent amount of points in those fixtures.
So they've got mainly away games, but their home games are Brighton at home, Arsenal at home, and Man City at home. Which, if they come out of that still in a title race, then they're in a title race. If we're honest, that is a mad run for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest fans, if you are watching, what do you think of your run? Are you confident? I think Nottingham Forest fans will just want Europe at this point. I think they'll be aiming for at least Conference League now from where they are. Anything better is just a bonus right now. But yeah, that is a crazy run looking at that. So then we look at Arsenal's. So obviously we've got Wolves next week away at Wolves. Then they have Man City going to the Emirates. Arsenal, Man City the week after. Then they're away to Leicester, at home to West Ham, away to Forest, away to Manchester United, and at home to Chelsea to finish off in March before April. Again, it's a mixed run. I say it's a mixed run. Obviously, Leicester should be beaten. West Ham at home should be beaten. The Forest game is absolutely massive. The Arsenal Man City game is massive, but the Nottingham Forest Arsenal is an absolute massive game for all three of us in this title race.
100%. I think that's a game where we'll be looking at 1-2 to drop points. For me, I'll rather it be Arsenal, because even though Forest look like they're in a title race right this minute, all it kind of takes is a injury to one of their main first team players. So like say if Wood got injured, who's going up front? So who's going to replicate the goals? Even though they still have good players, Elanga, they got Gibbs White, they got Hudson-Odoi. If they got injury to one that centre back pairing or something, or even the goalie, so for me. But I also think to counter your point, I think their fans are confident to the point I think they're actually looking at Europe. I don't think they're looking at Conference League. I think they're looking at Europe or the Champions League. I don't
Top
blame
four. Do you look at top four now? Do you reckon?
I think so. Because if you're in there, why would you not be looking at it? For me, you got.
I get that, but then you've got to have real expectations here. City's going to come up at some point. City's now in fourth place.
We say City's
Newcastle's still a good team.
We say, but it's easy for me. There's quite a few teams around in the mix there for fourth, like there always is. There's around 4 or 5 teams, maybe.
Yeah,
more.
Chelsea, Newcastle. Yeah.
Is Fulham around there? I'm sure Fulham's around there as well.
At the moment, so you got 4th for 6 points behind Forest. City are 6 points behind Forest, alongside Newcastle on 38 points. Then you got Chelsea and Bournemouth on 37 and Aston Villa on 36. I would say past Aston Villa really in terms of top 4, which is 8th place at the moment. But Forest, yeah, I get you. I think some will be looking at top 4, thinking, yeah, we can get top 4. But I think they would be happy with Europe no matter what.
No, I think they'd be happy regardless of Europe.
Yeah,
I think regardless, of course. I just think they're in a great position, and why? Obviously, the manager's probably just going to tell them take it a game at a time. But
yeah.
If I was a fan there as well, I'll be looking at why not? Because you got to try and believe. If you're in that position, but you don't think, oh, we can't, then yeah, you're definitely gonna drop points at some point because you don't really think you should be there. But based on how they've played, they 100% deserve to be where they are. And I always say the table never lies. So
definitely, they've been sensational. They were good against us. I thought they were very, very good against us. Very, very stubborn and very hard to break down. And they deserved it. They defended for the lives. The keeper played fantastic. And that's what you pay for keepers for. Looking at the Arsenal fixtures, what games did you think they could drop off in these games? Man City at home, possibly potential dropping. Then they got Forest away and Man United away. They could even drop points to Man United.
So United away. For some reason, I think they'll beat United in the league. I think the cup, that was a bit of the FA Cup for you, but I think they'll beat United. I think Man City will be interesting. I think if Arsenal score first, they win the game. I still think I think Man City's quite fragile in that way. Whereas I think if they score early or they take their chances, I think Arsenal win. But if City score first and they grow in the game, then yeah, it could be a problem for Arsenal. So
Chelsea end of match. Well, middle of match before April. Chelsea
the way they're playing at the minute, Arsenal wins. I think Chelsea don't look too great.
Leicester away at West Ham at home should be win, shouldn't they, really, for Arsenal? West Ham at home, Leicester away. Leicester are terrible at the moment.
Those two should be routine, I think. Comfortably.
Yeah. Right, we'll now look at Liverpool's fixtures. Obviously, we've got Ipswich at home next week. It should be a win. I say should be. No, there's no should be's in football, but if we don't win that, then we don't deserve the league, if I'm honest. Home to Ipswich. Away to Bournemouth. That's the one I'm not looking forward to. Certainly, they're a cracking team, and the way they play can really hurt us. They're very, very good in attack. Then we have our game in hand against Everton away in 12th of Feb. Not an easy game. Again, David Moyes. Home to Wolves. Away to Man City. Home to Newcastle. Home to Southampton. And to finish match off, we have away to Aston Villa. Some tricky ones, and then it's sort of mixed, isn't it? We've got some tricky ones mixed with should be wins, because really we've got Ipswich at home, Wolves at home, and Southampton at home in those fixtures. But then we've got Man City, Everton, Villa, Newcastle. Yeah, and Bournemouth.
Bournemouth is the one that stands out. Like I said, no game in the Prem is ever easy.
No.
I think just the way we play, I think we beat City. Unless City, when we come to play them, they've won 4, 5, 6 games in a row.
Yeah, they're confident.
Then we'll see. It should be a good game. I just think they're very vulnerable at the back. For me, they just look easy to cut through. Their midfield hasn't got that same invincibility that used to have that legs, and like I said, De Bruyne is getting on. The Bernardo looks like he's getting on. Well, like I said, we'll see when we play them, but I'm confident that we will win that game. I think the way they play as well kind of plays into our hands. And then I'm trying to think. You got Bournemouth. Who else? Who was the other?
What about Newcastle? Yeah, what about Newcastle at home? I know it's at home.
That could be tricky, but I want to see if Newcastle bounce, but how they react to the way they lost. Because it wasn't that they lost, it's the way they lost. I thought that was going to be a good win, and I could see either team winning, but I didn't expect it to be as one-sided as that. So it kind of looked a little bit like their team gave up, and you don't usually associate that with Newcastle because a lot of their fans, some of their fans started to leave and stuff. So I expect them to bounce back, but I think when we play them, it's always a tough game. But I think we got to match them physically. I think that's something we lack. I think in terms of some of our players, sometimes are not always. They kind of think, should I go into that challenge? Should I not? We play teams off the park, but if it turns into a bit of a
battle,
scrappy game, we're not always up for that. And I think we kind of need to add that to our game. I think when you play certain teams in the Premier League, because it's not going to be about football. Most teams know we can play them off the park. So they're going to try and turn it into a ugly game. So, yeah.
I think Newcastle, if it's one of them games, if you're not careful, you could easily lose it. Even at home, I mean, they've got Guard on fire, Isak's on fire. But those players can absolutely punish. We saw that away to them.
But if we're smart, like I said, watch the tactics Bournemouth used. They matched them physically. They were getting tackles and pushing up in their faces. I don't think Newcastle expected that. They kind of let them know we can play, but we're here as well. We're not pushovers. And then also, if you watch, Isak wasn't in the game. They kind of kept Isak quiet. So certain players,
and they were quick as well. They were quick on transition. How quick Bournemouth was. That's what we need to do. That speed to catch them out.
I think we should always come with a game plan. So same as when we played Forest, really, we should have kind of kept Wood quiet, I think, because he's a big part of kind of everything goes through him, that physicality and being that target man. But I think Isak, if we're able to keep him quiet, but then also in the midfield, we got to be able to match Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali physically. We got to match them. So it should be an interesting game, but I back Liverpool. I always back Liverpool in most games.
Villa away as well to win match. Villa away again, another game. Unai is a tactical genius.
It could be a tricky game, 100%.
Yeah.
I think
look at
manage the game, take our chances.
Looking at the next few fixtures, I think Arsenal got the easiest, all in all. I think Forest have got the hardest. I think we've got the middle one. I think Arsenal, we've got City at home, and then the only hard one really is probably Forest away. Chelsea at home, but Chelsea not the same at the moment. We've got a few. We've got Man City away, Everton away, Derby anyway, Aston Villa away. And I said where Newcastle can play, not an easy game, and away to Bournemouth's not an easy game. Forest is just ridiculous. That's an awful run. Away to Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle away, Arsenal, Man City. That's a disgusting run. They do get Man United and Ipswich after that, but still that run till then is a bit disgusting for them. But yeah, whatever happens in the Premier League title race, those 7 fixtures are absolutely huge towards the end of March. So these are the fixtures that we've been reeling off there as up until March. I think there must be an international break then between March because there's no game then until 1st of April. So
what a shame! How disappointing!
Yeah. This is where we'll get a at least if we do go on a bad run, we've got an international break to cut out of the momentum off a little bit. If we're going on a bad run, but yeah, it's these next fixtures, the 7 fixtures are absolutely huge in terms of the title race. But the title's not won in March. The title's not won in April. It's won in May. So no matter what happens, the next 7 fixtures, there's still some time to go, and we've got to keep this. I think we've got to keep this lead, and keep this lead at the end of beginning of April. Then we should be odds-on favourites to win the title, and I think everyone else would be
to stretch the lead. That's what I think for me.
Yeah, with the game in hand as well, potentially. Yeah. What do you guys think? Forest fans, Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, anyone else that wants to get involved in this conversation? What do you think of those fixtures? What do you think about the title race? Who are your Premier League title favourites? Who do you think will win the Premier League, and how will those fixtures affect the Premier League title race? Do you think Liverpool come out on top of those fixtures, or do you think Arsenal might close the gap? Or even Forest might even come out with that fixture list there and close the gap as well. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and get your notification bells on as well, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, guys.